Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2019 BBC miniseries of the H.G. Wells classic The War of the Worlds. And this miniseries stars Eleanor Tomlinson as Amy, Rafe Spall as George, Robert Carlyle as Ogilvy, and Rupert Graves as Frederick. Now, I think it's safe to say that many of us have been really looking forward to this. The story is an absolute classic. We all know this. Many people, including myself, have been waiting for a faithful recreation of the War of the Worlds. We've never really had it. We've had a few attempts at it now, and I think, certainly from everything that was leaked leading up to this miniseries, I think we were going to get a really good version of War of the Worlds at last. And the BBC were throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this. However, sadly, that is not exactly what we get with this three-part miniseries. And what we get is a very BBC production of War of the Worlds that is a little bit disappointing, to say the least. And it focuses on Amy and George, who are trying to start a life together in the Edwardian era. However, their and everybody else's life is interrupted by an invasion from these creatures from Mars, and it is then up to Amy and George, as well as everybody else, to try and survive these machines that are destroying the Earth. It's War of the Worlds. You know the story. Everybody knows the story. Right. So, what did I think of this? Well, rather than give you my thoughts on each episode, like I say, it's 3 episodes, so it's like an hour for each episode that we got on BBC, and it was shown over 3 nights, over 3 weeks on a Sunday night. And I didn't binge watch it. I watched the first one, and then I recorded the next 2 and watched them 2 back to back, so I kind of binge watched it. And it was, for the most part, desperately disappointing. And the main thing that frustrated me here is that the effects were fine for the most part. The design for the creatures and the crafts were fine for the most part. You just didn't get enough of it. This went far too much down the road of costume drama, which BBC are well renowned for. Obviously, it's what they do, it's the BBC. But they focused too much on the drama side of it and not enough on the invasion side of it. Over 3 hours, you would expect there to be extended footage of these aliens invading and destroying. No, I think if you timed everything, and I didn't, if you timed the time they were on screen, both in and out of the craft, it wouldn't amount to 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I'm guessing. The rest of it is just, drama. And it was not exciting or interesting drama for the most part. The performances are fine by everybody. I wasn't particularly convinced by Robert Carlyle's performance. He just didn't seem interested. I could be wrong, but I didn't get his character. And they made some interesting, I'm saying interesting choices, some would say disastrous choices, because they kept flitting between the past and the future, if you like, after the invasion, and then what happened. People were telling the story about how they got here, there, and I don't know. We kept going back and forth, and it frustrated me, and I was not interested in the future stuff. I just wanted to see the invasion and that stuff. There were some odd choices taken here, but at times it really worked. There were some really scary parts in it, especially when they started coming out of the craft. They did some really good tension building in some of the scenes, and some truly heartbreaking deaths that you felt, which was a lot to do with the fact that this miniseries forced you to get to know some characters, but and some of the things the crafts did were really interesting, and this smoke that they were spewing everywhere and what it did to people, and there were some interesting ideas here, but there's nobody out there could say that this was an exciting 3-hour miniseries of the classic War of the Worlds. It took too many liberties with the story. It, for me, was nowhere near exciting enough and interesting enough, and I think it was an absolute waste. I honestly thought the BBC had something special on their hands here, and they could deliver what we haven't had before, and that's a faithful recreation of the classic H.G. Wells novel. But unfortunately, the way it goes on, I don't really have an issue. Like I say, I don't have really an issue with any of the performances. I believed the chemistry between Rafe Spall and Eleanor Tomlinson, these two people who were desperately in love. I believed that side of it. I thought Rupert Graves was excellent. He's always excellent, and that there was a really interesting moral question raised in the 3rd episode, I think it was, where Rafe Spall actually questions, is this something the British Empire has brought on themselves? What these aliens are doing is essentially what we've been doing for such a long time, spreading the English flag all over the globe. And it was a very, very interesting point. It just didn't go into it in depth enough, I would suggest, but I liked that moral question. But there's no getting away with it. This was a disappointing take on the classic story. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's not a complete waste of time. There were some good things in it, but there's no getting around it. I think there was a huge missed opportunity here by the BBC, and it made it just a little bit too much of a BBC production, unfortunately. So that's my review for BBC's version of the War of the Worlds. It's out there now. I've seen it actually in the supermarkets. It's out for sale now. If you missed it on the TV, you can go and buy it now. So buy it, see what you think, and you might very much enjoy it. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time for more reviews on Screen Stars.